Welcome to Grant Writing Made Clear. The truth is, the grant writing process isn't always clear, but with the right guidance, proven actionable strategies, and expert insights, the process becomes easier, simpler, and yes, clearer. I am Dr. Trenette, your host of Grant Writing Made Clear, and a former nonprofit president turned distinguished professor and behavioral scientist with 2 decades of grant writing experience. I remember what it was like to be a busy nonprofit leader with little time but big financial sustainability concerns. Over the years, I have transformed my skills from securing $1,000 foundation grants to winning multi-million-dollar federal grants. I created this podcast in response to the grant writing coaching requests I've received from nonprofit leaders, entrepreneurs, and professors over the years. Join me each week as I reveal insider strategies and share key lessons that turn wishful thinking into winning applications. Pull up a seat and get ready to be inspired, empowered, and transformed. Whether you're a beginner or a pro looking to sharpen your skills and create a life you love, you're in the right place, my friend. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the final episode of Season 1 of Grant Writing Made Clear. I am your host, Dr. Trenette. And before we pause for the summer, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening, for growing with me, for rooting me on, and for being part of this new and growing community of scholars and change makers. I am so grateful that you're here. I appreciate your support, and I do hope that some of the things that I'm saying is helpful. Today's episode will be intentionally short and sweet because sometimes the most powerful messages don't need a lot of words, and because rest begins with allowing space. And so I want to provide some space. As I've mentioned over the last few weeks, for the next 2 months, I'll be stepping away from the podcast, not because I am burnt out, because I'm not, but because I am committed to resting with intention. Too often, we think our worth is equal to our productivity. And so I am being intentional about resisting that culture. I know that in academic spaces, we are expected to always be producing more papers, more grants, more presentations, more teaching, more service, more proof that we belong. But here's the truth. Rest is not the opposite of ambition. It is the foundation of sustainable impact. I am very ambitious, but I am also very, very interested in having impact, and not just impact, but sustainable impact. And so I'm looking forward to this sabbatical from the podcast. You know, we've been taught to believe that if we are not working, we are falling behind, that if we stop, we'll be forgotten. But that belief can be unlearned. You know, I grew up in a tiny rural town across the street from a cornfield. I noticed growing up, sitting on my front porch, staring at this cornfield, that the farmers always allowed their land to take a break. They didn't plant new crops every season. They allowed their soil to rest, to recover, to rebuild its strength. Our minds, our bodies, and our spirits need the same kind of nourishment, not to get back to work, but because we are human. And so rest does not suggest that we are lazy. There is science that supports this. Some of our most creative, meaningful ideas come when we are not actively trying. You know, I mentioned this a few weeks ago, that some of our best ideas come as a result of cognitive residue. It comes during walks, during the shower, during drives, when we're dancing, when we're having a lunch. That's when the brain taps into deeper insight. Rest helps that process to really solidify it. And so if you've ever solved a problem while maybe folding laundry or had an idea while laying in bed, that's not laziness. That's your brain doing its best work in the quiet. I want to be clear that this is not just self care, it's about reclaiming our wholeness in systems that often reward burnout. And for many of us, especially those from marginalized communities, rest becomes an act of resistance. It's an act of resistance. Why? Because when we choose rest, we are saying to systems that I matter. I matter. My well being matters. My value is not measured by how much I produce, right? So, as I mentioned, during this sabbatical from the podcast, I'll still be working a bit because I have an NIH R1 that I'm wrapping up, but I am centering rest in my life. I am trying to recover from the spring semester, you know? And so I'll be centering taking care of myself. And that looks like daily walks in nature with no headphones, reading books just because they're interesting, baking with my children, turning off notifications, traveling, buying fuzzy socks, an electric blanket. You all know I'm cold natured. Buying new pillows just because I like them and they help me to rest better. And maybe most importantly, I'm releasing the guilt that sometimes whispers you should be working. And I know you all know about that, right? You ever wanted to rest, but there was this cloud hanging over you that you should be working? When I recently told my mentor of my plans to engage in deep rest this summer, she immediately said that she was never able to rest because she always had something hanging over her, some cloud reminding her that there was something that needed to be done, some paper that needed to be written, some grant proposal that needed to be written, recruitment that needed to occur, right? Data analysis that needed to be run, background work for a committee, just something. And I replied to her and reminded her again that I will intentionally release the guilt that sometimes whispers, you should be working. I'm releasing the guilt. My answer to it will be rest is part of the work. And if you can get there, my friend, and the summer is a great time for you to practice this. If you can get there where you say rest is part of the work, this will be revolutionary. And so I have an invitation for you. I want to invite you to rest. What might change if you centered rest in your summer? And I'm not saying that means that you don't work. I understand that means that we still have to work a lot, right? But we can also ensure that we are centering rest. Maybe that means that you can plan a day or even an hour with no goal but to be present. Can you find an hour just to be present? Can you find a day just to be present? Maybe you should try creating your own rest portfolio with things like physical rest. So maybe that means extra sleep or sensory rest, which, maybe that means you go outside and take a walk. Creative rest. Maybe you enjoy some music that asks nothing of you, but just to listen. Maybe you engage in emotional rest, space to just feel the emotions, experience the emotions without needing to fix anything. Maybe you have some social rest, time with people who know you beyond your title, your real friends, your family. Spiritual rest. Rest is not what you squeeze in if you can find a moment, it's what you build in on purpose. And that's what I'm telling you I'm doing this summer. I am building in some rest, some extra sleep, some walking in nature, some time with loved ones. I'm building it in. Okay, so before I go, I just want to remind you that the podcast will be not producing new content in July and August. I'll be offering some replays during that time in case you want to tune in. But we will be back in September after Labor Day with fresh insights, new guests, and renewed energy. If you have any topics you'd like me to cover, please let me know. Any guests you'd like to hear from, please let me know. In the meantime, come hang out in our Facebook community, Grant Writing Made Clear. It will be active this summer, but it will pick up in September. So we'll be active some this summer, but much more after Labor Day. If you do not have Facebook, follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn. Don't forget to sign up for our Conceptualizing a Grant guide, as well as our Maintaining Momentum guide. And if this season has touched you, helped you, or made you think, I'd love to hear from you. Your notes and messages remind me why this work matters. Thank you for walking this journey with me in season 1. It's been a gift to share this space with you. So as we pause, I leave you with this, just as a reminder that you are not what you produce. You are worthy right now, just as you are. You don't have to produce another thing to make you worthy, because you are worthy right now, just as you are. I want you to also remember that rest is not a reward. It is your right. It is your right. I want you to rest. I want you to remember your value. I want you to take care of yourself. And I'll see you in September. I'll be rested and ready to talk some more about grant writing. Until then, I want you to take care of your goals and even better care of your soul. Wishing you the very best. Take good care. Thank you for listening to Grant Writing Made Clear. I hope today's episode gave you inspiration, confidence, and clear information that you can turn into action. Remember, you are not alone. There is a whole community here striving for the same impact. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a quick review to help more people find the show, and share this episode with others in your network. It really does make a difference. For more grant writing tips and resources, follow me on social media. Until next time, keep showing up, keep learning, and remain determined. I'll talk to you next time. Goodbye for now.